Hey guys, Jane here, and we are going to do a spoiler or review of The Death of Miss Westaway by Ruth Ware. So if you have not read the book and or don't want spoilers, this is not the place for you. Anybody else? Let's go on this ride together.
Pictures and patterns put into words that stream across the page, capturing life as soft spoken.
Okay, so in The Death of Miss Westaway, there's a girl named Hal, and she is a tarot reader on the pier. Like, that's how she earns her living. And like, my first question is, how much do you really earn from that? Like, do people really make full-time livings from that? I don't know. But it was an interesting concept and, seemed cool. So I loved that. My favorite thing about the book was the involvement of tarot. I think that was the main thing that I can recommend about this book. This book ended up overall being a bit of a miss for me, but I think the tarot was one of the things that made it enjoyable enough to finish. I was doing a buddy read and my buddy dropped out because they did not enjoy this book. So, like, if that gives you an idea of, and I almost DNF'd it about 3 or 4 times, but I was like, I'm liking the tarot stuff just enough, I'm going to push through. So, I'm not necessarily glad I did. Like, it wasn't a payoff that I loved, but I'm glad I finished it, maybe. Let's say I'm glad I finished it. So, she is being harassed by these basically people who've, like, loan sharks. These loan sharks have loaned her money and they're gonna break her teeth and break her bones if she doesn't come up with the money to pay them back, which is horrific. And she doesn't know what she's gonna do, and then she gets a letter that her grandmother has died and that she is gonna inherit some money from her grandma. Now, she is pretty sure this lady is not actually her grandmother. She's pretty sure this is a case of mistaken identity, but she really needs money, doesn't want her teeth and bones broken, and so she decides that she is going to go to this house and basically be like, all right, I am your long lost, family member. I'm gonna take my money. However, when she gets there, she learns that it is not like just a lump sum of money that she's getting, but she is inheriting the house, and she is the biggest inheritance of everybody. And this, of course, causes a lot of family issues. The family is very unhappy about it. Who is this person who has never been here? We've never met her before. She's supposedly the daughter of our long lost sister, who, we don't really know what happened to her. So who is this person, and why are they here, and why do they think they should inherit? So you have a lot of stuff going on. And while this seems like it would be tense and interesting, the vast majority of the book, for me, is just very boring. It's people just rehashing, hey, we don't know how you relate, and tell us a little bit about your mom, and and Hal is just being like, I'm gonna lie about stuff and use my deception in tarot reading to tell you what I think you want to hear so that you believe me. So I didn't like Hal at all, and I figured out pretty early on that how she's connected to the family. So, and we're gonna get there. One of the things that I think was not well done in this book, and I wish it was done differently, is there are sporadic diary entries, but there's only a few. And I would have liked either more or less. And the amount we had was not the right amount for me. I feel like it was cool because we got some like insight into the past and the situation and the family dynamics, but it really wasn't enough to paint a real full story. And a lot of the stuff, I think they were trying to be cryptic, because they didn't want you to know the secrets and the reveals, but I think they were almost too cryptic, and they weren't worth the information they gave you. So I would have either liked them to be a lot more or just to leave them out entirely, because I just found them jarring and irritating, and then with the reveals at the end, it was really frustrating. So Hal has three uncles. Three uncles. Yes, three uncles. I cannot remember their names, but one is the twin of her mother, and like they don't know what happened to her. Her mother's name was Maggie, and she disappeared. She disappeared. She, went off to see the world, left. They never heard from her again. And then her other brothers are, her mother's other brothers. There's one that has children and is kind of invested in, getting the inheritance for his children and himself. I wouldn't say he's greedy, but he's kind of greedy. And he's the one who's most opposed to her having this inheritance. Then there is, I think his name is Abel, and he is a brother who's gay. He was disinherited by his mom, and he just kind of wants out of there. He's over it. He came for the will reading because he felt like he had to, but he didn't expect to get anything anyway because his mom disinherited him for being gay. But we're kind of at one point led to suspect him of some nefarious things, but it turns out, he's one of the good guys. So, yeah. So as Hal is looking into things, she finds out that there is a cousin who came to live with the family, and she ultimately realizes that she is related to the family. She is the daughter of this cousin that had come to live with the family for a while, and that cousin got pregnant and was locked up in a room and had terrible things happen to them and ended up fleeing. And that's why she didn't know this side of the family. We eventually learn that it was, and it's a distant cousin, it's not directly like cousins, because what I'm going to tell you next would be kind of gross if it was. We learn that, so her mom is not the sister that everybody thinks that she is. Her mom is the cousin who was friends with the sister. And the cousin's name is Marguerite. So both daughters have like the same name, but they have different nicknames. So that's where the confusion was with the birth certificate, is the birth certificate had the mother's full name, and both the cousin and the daughter have the exact same name. So that's kind of where we think, or are led to believe, the confusion happens, because they have the same name. But anyway, so she realizes that she is the daughter of this distant cousin, and she's kind of realizing, okay, well, there had to be a father here somewhere. Who is it? And she's using the clues that she got from the diary and some old photos and stuff to try to figure out who her dad is, because she has no idea. Come to find out, it is one of the people who she's been treating as an uncle this whole time. I can't remember his name, but he's awful. And it turns out that also she learns that the woman that she believed was her mother was not her mother. So the woman who has raised her this entire time as her mother is not her mother, but is the long-lost sister. And her mother, the cousin, was murdered by her father because she wanted child support, basically. So we learned that Hal's childhood was basically mom decided to sleep with the cute boy who also lived in the family and who was a spoiled brat and got everything he wanted, was the favorite son. And then when she got pregnant, literally might have died to protect him. She was afraid her aunt, Miss Westaway, would kill her. And so she ran off, and then the other Margarita, Maggie, ran off to protect her, live with her, share her secret, whatever. And then when the brother, her twin, murdered Hal's mom, she raised Hal as her own, and Hal was only a few months old, didn't know any better, thought that was her mom. That was her mom the whole time she was growing up. And I did have to give the book credit. I love the exploration of motherhood, of, Maggie's mom, Mrs. Westaway, and she was kind of a shit mom. All the kids are traumatized and don't like her and have, a lot of negative emotions about their childhood. And then we have Hal, who grew up poor, and we find out is being raised by her aunt, but that is her mom. That's the only mom she's ever known. She loves her mom, and even though they lived in poverty, they were in it together, and I loved that dynamic. That was, besides the tarot, probably my other favorite thing in the book is the exploration of family relationships. I really enjoyed that. So anyway, then the twin brother murdered her mother, the one that she thinks is her mom but is actually his twin sister, because she came back and is like, hey, Hal's about to be 18, I'm gonna tell her the truth. And he's like, no you're not. And so we killed her too. And that, I think I had some issues with that whole twist involving the Margaritas and him murdering them, and I just didn't feel, I knew pretty early on that he was the father. Like, I had a feeling about that pretty early on, that he was going to be her dad. What I didn't expect him to be a terrible murderer of both of her moms. And I didn't necessarily believe the twist of, the woman that you thought is your mom isn't your mom, but your real mom is dead because your real dad killed her. And just it didn't work for me. I can't even tell you why. I don't really enjoy the wrong identity in a mystery and thriller anyway. Like, that feels like a cop-out sometimes, unless we have really good clues along the way. And if there were, I didn't eat those breadcrumbs. So I was kind of shocked when we pulled that, and I was like, I don't know. I don't know if I believe it. I don't know if I could have followed the logic of what was happening. It just felt like I really had to suspend my disbelief. And then for a guy to kill his twin sister, his twin, and him being all like, I miss my sister, blah, 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 and he murdered her? Like, this guy's crazy. But like, obviously he doesn't seem crazy. He's not gotten in trouble for other things. And, growing up, he was just a spoiled brat. And I just didn't feel like there was enough. I didn't feel like there was necessarily enough groundwork laid out for the mixing up of the moms and for him murdering everybody to be believable. I just had some issues with that. So that twist didn't work for me. The oldest brother, or whichever brother it is, her twin, the mom's twin, being the dad, that didn't surprise me. I was fine with that. I knew that pretty early on. All the other stuff, though, I didn't really like. And yeah, and it took forever to get there. It just took forever. So not only was the book slow, but one of the twists didn't do it for me. So it just kind of was a miss. A little bit of a miss. Like, again, some things that worked, but a lot that didn't. I did like at the end how Hal's family was very supportive and very interested in getting to know her, and it was kind of an upbeat ending. I don't know if I necessarily believed it, but I was gonna go with it. So I uh, I was kind of disappointed in this, and I definitely didn't love the pacing. But this is also my first Ruth Ware. So if you have read Ruth Ware, is this kind of normal? Are her twists kind of far out and maybe the groundwork isn't all laid down for it? Is the pacing really slow and then really, really fast? Or did I just pick a book that, maybe wasn't her best? If you have a better Ruth Ware to recommend, please do so in the comments below. If you've read this book, tell me your thoughts, and I'll see you next time. This has been Jane. Bye.